Good evening. It's Saturday, the 26th of December, 2020. Diane Hands bringing you Book for the Day, Human Crossings, 9 stories about refugees. And the story that I've been reading to you is The New Jungle Project, which was written by Doug Dunn. And this story came about after Doug had been to see a play in London called The Jungle. And this play had been based on a refugee camp in Calais. And the New Jungle Project Committee were talking about, should there be sex on the moon? And this is where we got to in the book yesterday. Kind of, but it feels a bit weird. I know, but suppose we decided to go to the moon, say, next year. It definitely feels weird saying this. Then suppose I got pregnant. Would we want to have our baby up there? I guess it depends on risk. If they have all the medical stuff needed for childbirth, I say have our baby in space. It would be the first space baby. We are just talking hypothetically. We have only been engaged a week. I would like to be married first, but definitely, if there was adequate equipment provided. As for sex on the moon, I'm all for it, said Beth. It is an interesting question for people not in a relationship, said Sam. It would be like people on an expedition or in the armed forces. If people have partners on Earth, then they should be able to return home every few months. That's a good point, Sam, I said. People there should be able to take leave time, whether they have partners or not, every 3 months, to stay in touch with family for health reasons, to strengthen muscles. Salah had paired up with Okot. Both were looking uncomfortable by this topic. I don't think we should be talking about these sorts of questions. If God wants people to have a family, it will happen. In Sudan, women don't talk about such things, said Okot. Please, can you tell us more, Okot? Salah said. In the capital city, Juba, girls can be married at 10 years of age. Some are bought in exchange for cows, then violently abused. Most violence is by partners in their home. When the civil war started in Darfur, there were rapes and genital mutations happening all the time. The women were afraid to speak up in case they were tried for adultery. Okot started to cry. He remembered how his mother was gang raped by army soldiers in a forest. Sorry to hear that. It's hard for us to understand, said Salah. I don't think people here understand. We never talked about sex. We didn't have what people in the West have, said Okot. We are the same, said Salah. In Afghanistan, we have a 3-tier abuse rule. If a woman is abused by her partner on the 3rd time, elders allow a divorce to take place, but many abuses are not reported. It is very difficult to discuss topics like sex or having children. Many are just trying to survive and avoid being abused or killed. They are not used to discussing anything. Derek paired up with me to discuss the questions. To be honest, I feel embarrassed discussing the first question. I am from a generation where such matters are not talked about directly. I think sex is a private matter for the community members to decide. Yes, I am from the same generation, though we did live through the 60s and 70s. I said, thinking back to those days, it is a private matter for the community, but if we are the community, it would be worth thinking about. Well, if we have medical people and equipment, why not have babies? Said Derek. It might be best to return to Earth once or twice a year for health checks. So, in that case, yes to sex. I agree. There is also an opportunity to look at how we think about sex rather than the images we get from films, TV, and pornography. We could discover new ways to talk about sexuality. That sounds interesting. What are you thinking of? And that's where we'll leave it for today. And you can find out more of what they decide about sex on the moon tomorrow. Human Crossings can be found on Amazon, and you can also read more about Human Crossings on our Facebook page. Until tomorrow, good night, Diane Hands.